I'm going to work front on at this stage on each 4 sides, and then we'll blend them by angling the model on the corner in just a minute. I'm going to angle the model up slightly though. I'm going to scale up my texture, and I've angled the model up so that that mark will paint on the underside and the front at the same time. If I angled it too much, I'd only get one side painting. So I'm angling it so the masking is not taking effect on either the vertical or the horizontal. Right, now again, we're only worrying about the white part of the texture here, not the black. So you'll see I won't paint all the way down into the black, I'm only worrying about the white. Okay, bake it down. We'll move around to the next side. And this will give us those like white streaky dirt marks. Or, I don't know what you call it, lime maybe marks, watermarks on this column. Which will show up in just a sec when we change the layer style over here. Let's do this side just here. I went a bit too far with the black, but again the black is going to completely disappear in just a second, so don't stress about stuff like that. And again, we're working on a new layer, so anything we do that we don't like, it's easy to delete and remove. So okay, let's blend pardon me, those corners in together a little bit more. I'm going to do that just by choosing a white part of the texture here and painting it over. It's not too bad, but we'll just pop a little bit of white in there anyway. Okay, now let's change our layer style here. I'm just going to move that out of the way, and we're going to throw an add on it. Then we're going to pull it right back again. Maybe something like that. I'm just going to jump quickly back into max because I want to check which way is up on this model. Okay. So the two pieces are at the top, right? So I know that that's the base and that's the top there. Either one will work for us, doesn't really matter. We're going to do both anyway. Let's throw a bit of a darker texture at the top though, so I'm going to throw down a new layer. And let's find an interesting looking texture. Again, for the benefit of anyone new to the stream, these dirt maps are really only alpha maps or grayscale maps that I'm using. That's nothing special about them, they're just alphas or grayscale that I'm using to add these dirt layers. Again, I'm scaling this down by holding the shift and the alt key and the left mouse button. Let's see if we can find something a little bit more interesting. This will work quite well. Again, let's pull in on our model and angle it up slightly. Make it a little larger here and rotate it to match the model again. Now this time we're more worried about the black and not the white. Okay, we'll take that down. And this is just how you create all those interesting dirt and watermarks on a texture, just by layering again and again different dirt marks and dirt textures. Take it down. And this is also what we'll do to make each column look more unique with those 5 variations of the texture we're going to create. And like I said, because we're working in projects in Mari, it's easy for us to turn off these layers to create a new variation on the texture. So, because we have our base color done, we could probably maybe vary up the base color if we think it needs it, but it may not. If we're careful with our dirt textures, we shouldn't need to change the base underlying texture at all. And now I'm just going to blend those corners together again. Just by choosing a darker part of the texture here. That one blends alright. Okay, let's change our layer style again now. We'll move our texture out of the way and we'll probably end up going with a either a darken or a multiply. I'm just going to see which one looks better. We're going to go with the multiply. And again, I'm going to pull it back. Alright, let's throw down a new layer. And let's grab another interesting looking texture. This one might work for us. Let's scale it up a bit. Again, I'm going to pull in on my model and I'm actually going to turn masking off here as well. That way I don't have to angle up my model quite so much. Because if I paint on an angle on too much of an angle, it's going to get stretching. You don't want to do it. You don't want that. So don't angle the model too much here. Not completely sold on that texture. Let's see if we can find something a bit better. This might look interesting. Let's scale it up a bit. Let's test this one. I don't know how this is going to go, but we'll give it a go and we'll see what it looks like. It may work, it may not. I'm just painting section by section so I can see the underlying so I can see the underlying texture. You've never seen anyone texture like this? Really? I was taught by the best. Which is actually true. I've worked with a lot of really talented guys over the years. Everybody does things differently though, so there really is no one way to do anything. Again, with this I'm more worried about the white part of the texture and less about the black. Okay, I'm going to bake that down. And I'm going to move that out of the way, and we're going to change our layer style here. So we're going to go again to an add. And again, I'm going to pull it right back. I may just look at a couple of the other styles here. I'm going to swing around to the opposite side. Oh good, I'm glad I hope you guys pick up stuff from watching me, because I mean that's the whole point of me wanting to stream. It's so that you guys can see somebody else's workflow. Hopefully pick up something for your own stuff. Like I said though, everybody does things differently, and the way I'm showing you that I do my work is not the only way. I'm not saying it's the best way, I'm just showing you my way. So it always helps to have as many different to know as many different ways to do something as you can. You never know when it'll come in handy. I'm going to pull this texture in. I may use this one as well. Where is that? There. No, I'm rotating the texture off center because I want the line to actually look more centered. I'm on a new layer. I'm actually not on a new layer. I've just realized. I'm going to throw down a new layer. And paint that through. Bake that down. I'm going to change the layer style here. I may do an invert on it as well. I'll see how we go. Pull it back. More like that. I'm going to jump around to the other side here, because I'm not really sure which side it's facing out in the model. And I know that one side is actually hitting the back wall, so you're not going to see it. Let's grab a different texture here. This one will work. Again, I'm going to scale it up. maybe not quite that big. I don't remember if I threw down a new layer or not. Let me see. No, I didn't. So we need to throw a new layer down with a new texture. You could work on the same layer, but I prefer to have it on a different layer. Again, I'm going to scale it down just a bit. We're going to bake that down. I'll move that up to the side. Now we could do this as an ad as well and knock it back like we did with the other one. Maybe slightly less so it's a little bit more pronounced. And now I'm going to also jump around to maybe this side here. And again I'm going to throw down another layer. Grab another texture. And this is just more of a general dirt color, so we're just going to throw that in here. Let's do it this way. Let's make that line match up the underlying line now. I'm just going to paint that out a bit. Okay, again I'm baking it down with the Alt key and I'm going to change that to an add. And again I'm going to pull it right back. Let's export this to max because I want to see which sides we're actually seeing in the actual model itself. So I'm going to export everything flattened again. I'm just going to overwrite the first painted version we did. Yep, overwrite. Let's jump back into 3D Studio Max. The texture's gone black because it needs to be reloaded. So just select your texture and now reload it. Okay. Now I know that mark is on the front. That's really what I wanted to see. I've also, you'll notice I've got to move the column out, or I've got to do a bit of vertex moving here. But again, we'll do that at the very end because that border is intersecting the column. So I know that mark is on the front. All right. Let's create a variation of this because we're going to have to do another 4 so that we can start repeating it around the outside and not notice it. So we have 1 done, we've got to do 4 more. Let's jump back into Mari and save our project. And I know from looking at it that this is the front of the column, so well, this will be the front of the next column as well. So I'm just going to position my that front facing me and turn these all off until we get back to our base layer here, which is our base texture. Now I'm going to throw on a new layer, and I know everything between this layer and this layer, all these ones that are switched off for our first version. That's how we'll keep a track of what's going on. I'm going to grab another texture now, something that is a bit different from what we've just been painting with. have a look at this one. That's interesting, that'll work for us. Let's use that one. Let's pop it down. Yeah. Let's throw that in there. And take that down. We're going to throw down a new layer. I'm going to rotate that 180 degrees. I'm also going to rotate the model so it's on an angle here. I don't know about that one actually. Let's look at this one. No, that one won't work. What about this one? Yeah, that'll work. I'm going to scale it up. And again, I'm working on the corner here. I'm going to bake it down. I'll move it out of the way. And we're going to change our layer style to an add. And again, I'm going to pull it back. And I'm going to go to the one below it here because we forgot to change our layer style. We're going to change that to an add as well. And again, we're going to pull it back. Now I want to paint in a bit of white just through here to blend those together a bit more. That should be on that layer there. And this is just painting over that that step that's happening in the side of that model. So it blends together. Right, this should be enough of a variation, but we're going to do one more thing and throw down a new layer. And I'm going to grab a texture I can use as an overall dirt texture. Maybe. We'll see how we go with this. Again, I'm going to scale it up so it covers the entire model. Again, I'm on a new layer. I'm just going to cover the entire model with this. Again, I'm going to bake it down with the Alt key. That's right. You know how much I love those dive bombing pigeons. It keeps everything consistent with the rest of the model as well. And because the texture that when we use that texture, we used it up the top on the smaller columns on the inside. These larger columns on the outside bottom, you won't notice the texture is being used again. And again, I'm just covering the entire model in this texture. I'm not being really pedantic or fiddly with it. I just want to cover the entire thing. Just so long as it reasonably blends together. Even that doesn't have to be exact because we're going to change the layer style in just a minute. So bake down. That should be good enough for what we need. Well, let's see. Let's try and add. We may have to go and multiply though. We want to pull that right back until it's just visible. Let's see what a multiply though looks like. I think for a multiply I want to darken up the texture a bit as opposed to lightening it. I'm going to throw one more layer down. And I'm going to choose a different texture here. Maybe this one. Maybe not. No, not that one. This one will probably work. I'm going to go into my brush editor and I'm going to feather my brush a bit. So I'm going to increase the the radius slightly. Maybe a bit more. I'm going to zoom in on my model a bit. Oh, we have to add a dirt mark here at the bottom and the top as well. I forgot about that. Again, jump back into my layer editor and throw down a new layer. I'm going to change my layer style here to multiply before I paint. And I'm going to pull it right back as well. Maybe to half, well, just under halfway. And I'm just going to paint in spots here and there. And that's just to give us an indication of a dirt mark on the model in different spots. So I'm going to rotate my model around. I'm going to move up to the top here. And again, I'm just going to paint in spots here and there. I'm going to paint that out a bit so they blend together a bit more. Alright, now I'm actually going to move to move to around here. Move my texture a bit and again paint it in. Now I know that the gamma difference is different between Mari and Max, so I'm going to have to go lighter in Mari before I do an export. Otherwise it's going to show up too dark in Max. Alright, let's throw down one more layer. And let's get these dirt marks at the top and the bottom. Let's see what this one's like. This one will work. Let's zoom in on our model. Again, are we on a new layer? I'm not sure if I added a new layer, so I'm going to add a new one. That makes no difference. You can never have too many layers. It's not going to affect anything. So run a new layer. Again, I'm only worrying about the black here. I haven't changed my blending on my brush. I could have, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to bake that down. And again, just the black, not the white. We're not worrying about the white. I'll bake that down. Don't throw too much of an angle though, because you don't want the stretching to happen. And I'm just going to fix up that happened because we don't have masking turned on, so that's alright. We can paint that out. Alright. Let's move that up and change our layer style here to multiply probably. And again, we're going to pull it right back. We're going to stay on the same layer, and we're going to do the same thing though down here at the bottom. So again, I'm going to angle it slightly and move in a little bit. I'm going to rotate my texture 180 degrees. Scale it down a bit. And paint it in. Now, because I'm on the same layer and I have my layer style set up already. You're seeing exactly what it's looking like as we're painting it in. I just undid that because my brush is just a little bit too large. I don't want to hit that top edge there. So I'm going to just pull my brush back a bit. And paint that again. Alt key to break it down, always remember the Alt key. And this is just in case you prefer to work, so as you paint you see what it's going to look like. I tend to work both ways, just depending on what I'm doing at the time. But a lot of people like to work this way so that as they're painting it down they get an idea of what it's looking like, as opposed to waiting until the end and changing the layer style then. We'll bake it down, and we've got one more side here to do. And again, I just moved my texture slightly, so I'm using a slightly different section of the underlying texture as I move around. Bake it down. Alright, let's take this into Max. Let's save our file here. So we can look at our layer stack here. We know that's our base color. That's our first version of the texture. From there up to here is our second version of the texture. So we're going to export flattened. We're going to call it large column painted, and then I'm going to go _ R2 for revision 2. That's just my naming convention there. I do the same thing when I save my Max file, because I save that in versions as well. Let's jump into Max. So as you can see here in my file history, this is Garden Terrace R12 for revision 12. So I have 12 copies of this incremental. Each week after I've done work, I change the number and keep them all on file. And then at the end, once I'm happy with the model, I'll condense it all down to just 2 versions. One which is completely attached, and one which is completely unattached, which is what we're working on. Okay. And that just helps me to keep versions, just in case anything happens with the program, crashes. The file can sometimes become corrupt, and then I can just revert back to the previous version. Let's set up a new shader for this second version of this texture. And again, let's work horizontally now because we're doing variations. Again with the bitmap, we're looking for large column painted R2, which is that one there. And again, let's pipe that into our diffuse channel and turn on show shaded and show realistic. Alright, let's move along here. We're going to, before we actually assign that, we've got to attach this, so let's wonder if it's quicker to actually move that model around and then group and ungroup and attach all these pieces. Let's see. I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to convert it to an edit mesh. I'm going to use the attach list this time, which I haven't shown you guys. It just means that instead of me selecting them individually, it opens up a dialog box so I can tell it which ones I want to attach. And they're all attached. Let's select this one here. And again, we're going to go into our channel info and copy our UVs. paste them into that one there. Jump back into our material editor. We're going to assign that new texture, and you see what I mean by that problem again? Now that's because that auto attach has attached the pieces in a different order, which means that the UVs are not lining up at all. So I think the best thing for us to do is going to be to do what we did with the small supports here. I'm going to go into isolation mode. I'm going to select that copy. I'm actually going to center the pivot here by going into my hierarchy tab. I'm going to hold the shift key down and pull out a copy. Jump back into my top viewport. We'll fix that UVing up in a minute. I'm going to move this one into... Oh, I hit the wrong button there. I held down the shift key. I didn't want to make a copy. I'm going to rotate that around. If you look at these two columns, you actually see that this one's bigger than this one. I think I made these smaller because they're at the front of the terrace. And that's probably another reason why they weren't lining up. Well, I could be wrong. They look like they're pretty similar now. And again, because of Max's 2017's bugs, I can't do align to mesh, which would make this much easier. And they are a bit smaller, so I'm just going to scale it up slightly. Yeah, I don't want to scale it in the Z, I only want to scale it in the X and Y. Okay, that should be good. I'm going to select the old version here and delete it. I'm going to select this, jump again back into our channel info. I'm going to paste our UVs in. We're going to jump into our material editor. And I'm going to assign that new material. Now we can exit isolation mode. I think that's what we're going to end up doing for all of these columns. I'm not going to trust that they're going to UV map correctly. I'm going to copy them across as we change textures. It'll be the best and easiest way to go. But now we've created two versions of this texture here that are completely different, that we can use to start repeating it around. We've just got to create another three versions. So if they're doing a render, you're never really going to see more than 5 in view at the same time. So if we create we'll create 2, if we create another 3 texture variations, that'll give us enough that we can start repeating it all the way around the outside. $85 rocks. Thank you. Thanks for popping in. It's always good to see a new person in chat. I always appreciate everybody that pops into chat and says hi. I think I might leave it there though for today, guys. I think tomorrow we will create the last 3 versions of these textures, and we should be able to then finish up texturing this model tomorrow. Then all we can do is bring in the new statues I've created for the top here and grow some flowering ivy on it. Then we can export it, then we can start doing a render. But tomorrow we'll create 3 more versions of these textures for the columns, and that should finish up the texturing of this model then. Then we can move on to just fixing a few small errors here and there and making it look a bit more pretty. But I think I will leave it there for today. Thank you guys for popping in and watching and popping into chat and chatting and watching the stream. I do appreciate it. Thank you guys that followed me on my Twitch channel as well. I appreciate it when you guys follow me, so thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I will be back on again tomorrow at 5 PM Pacific time in the US. That's 12 PM in Australia and 1 AM in the UK. Pardon me. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the stream and thank you for watching. See you guys.